Hey y'all, how's it going? It's so fun when there's people already here. That didn't used to happen. I think the first time I did this, I talked to myself for about 10 minutes before a person showed up and then people sort of started to trickle in. So it's really fun to see y'all hanging out and chatting and saying hi. That makes me really happy. Hey, Jeff. Wait, no, here's how we do it. Good to see ya. Hey, Janet G. How are you? Love that little owl. I love that avatar. Hi, Sandy Wandy. It's so good to see you. Thanks for coming to hang out, you guys. So I titled it All the Feels because that's what I was like tonight. Like, I don't know, like in between, I don't know, like 8 and 9 o'clock here, I just started getting all the feels about everything. Y'all ever had that happen? Like, you feel totally normal and then all the feels about everything just like sneaks up on you and you're just like, ugh. And I'm like, I had just given my kiddo his bath, and he was like he has a little, like, wind down time after bath time where he just kinda, like, chills on the couch for a little bit and watches his shows or plays on his tablet, and during that time, I was just kinda sitting on the hallway like, "Ooh, I'm having all the feelings right now, and I don't want my kid to think that it's his fault, and it's not like anything's wrong, really, it's just a feelsy kinda day, you know?" Y'all ever have that happen? I do, clearly. "Hey, Miss J" Okay, I'll stop. So, I think I saw most of you in previous chats tonight, but I'll ask again, how's it going? Did y'all get some dinner? Did y'all get something to eat before you came to hang out with me? Uh, I hope you did. I hope you did. We got takeout tonight because, my husband was working late, so it was just me and my little guy, and he loves chicken nuggets, and it's tricky to cook for him when you're the only adult in the house because he's a very active little guy and, wants to hang out with you. So we did takeout tonight. I was kind of good. I got a grilled salad, a grilled chicken salad. The whole salad wasn't grilled. That might be kind of weird. You too? Okay. Janet G you says I had a really intense feelsy day a couple days ago. Did it sneak up on you kind of out of nowhere? Or maybe, I mean, I don't know if I can say it was totally out of nowhere. It was kind of like it's kind of like I was already reflecting on things and like doing the journaling and reflecting and like self-analysis thing and like then a whole bunch of stuff came up in my head. So I don't know if it was totally out of nowhere, but it was intense and feelsy. So it's really nice to be here with you guys. Oh, you spent your day on the highway driving to the big city and back. Ooh. See, that's stressful if you don't like highway driving, if there's a lot of traffic. I really like driving, like, over countryside, like, where there's not much traffic and it's just, like, open road. I love that. That's really fun. Um, the last work trip I went on, and this was few and far between, I used to travel for work, like, every quarter, I would drive all over North Texas, Northeast Texas, and sometimes, like, down South Texas. The only part of Texas I didn't really drive to was, like, far West Texas, like El Paso and stuff like that. I never made it to the desert, but, um, Dallas traffic sucks. I hate the stop and start. I hate that. It always sucks. Um, even when it's not very busy, the Dallas traffic sucks. But once you get outside of Dallas, it's kinda nice just go down the freeway. Well, the last work trip I went on in November was no, it was December. Yeah, it was early December. It was to Oklahoma, and the drive from Dallas to Oklahoma is, like, not a whole lot of anything. It's really, like it's like a straight shot practically. You barely have to make any turns, and the company rented me a vehicle. They didn't make me use my personal vehicle, and they gave me this Mustang, and I was like, "This is a good drive." Just me and my radio and a Mustang and a country road for, like, 3 hours. That was great. That was great. But I didn't speed. because the last thing I needed was a ticket in a car that wasn't mine that my work was paying for. I don't think they would have had much of a sense of humor about that. So, for legal reasons, I did not speed at all. My mic cuts when I exclaim. Well, I wonder if that means I need to like pull back from it or if I need a better microphone. I didn't invest a whole lot. Like, I mean, this was like 20 bucks, I think, maybe 30, something like that. I'm on a budget here. Hi, Mary. I'm so glad you're here. You guys, I want to congratulate Mary. Mary broke 500 subscribers today. Woo! That's a big deal, y'all. That's a huge milestone. I'm super pleased as punch for her. I'm really, really excited for her. And Mary's just been really, really supportive of me and a lot of other creators that focus on connection and that kind of rippled off the lifeboat and stuff like that. So I'm really, really excited for her. That's awesome. And Mary's also helped give me a lot of like tips and tricks about how to do this YouTube thing, because before she helped me out with a couple things, gave me a couple pointers, I was just clicking live on the YouTube and going, what's this? What's that? What's this button do? Like making funny faces at the green light. I'm still kind of doing that actually. Maybe that's why you're here. Maybe that's what you like about this life. I don't know. Okay, is the mic cutting out when I exclaim? Like, what if I pull back from it? Does the mic still cut out when I pull back a little further away from it? Oh no, you were driving in the snow, Janet? Heck no. See, we don't know how to do that in Dallas. We don't do that. Or the people that attempt to do that always drive like idiots and it causes unnecessary wrecks. So when it snows in Dallas, we just shut everything down. That's it. Like everybody just holes up for a few days until it melts. I'm glad that you arrived at your destination safely. Yes, please. If y'all could click that little like button, or if you're not feeling it today, you can click the thumbs down button too. Just say something. Don't be on the fence. Have the courage of your convictions to click the like or the dislike button. Have the courage of your convictions. Boring. Wait, what was boring? What did I miss? The snow? Was driving in the snow was boring? Hey, Mr. Brad Boy, it's good to see you. You caught me live again. You found me in the recommended feed, and I think that's awesome that I even get pushed out to the recommended feed because I was under the impression I was just like getting pushed out to like just people I knew from other channels I hang out on. So it's really I love like people I already know like coming here and hanging out, and it's also super exciting to meet new people too. It's pretty thrilling. Okay, the Mustang would make it better. Oh, you mean my drive to Oklahoma, Mischief? Yeah, yeah, the Mustang made it better. It was cherry red too. It was I drive a 2010 Toyota Corolla, like, normally in my life. It has about as much get up and go as a bicycle if you pedal real hard. But it gets the job done. A car seat fits in the back, and it's pretty reliable, so I'm not complaining. Uh, but just me on a country road to Oklahoma, that was fun. That was fun. I used to do that as a kid too. Like when I was like well, I was driving age, right? And once I was entrusted with a car, which may or may not have been a good choice on my parents' part, uh, I would get to where I just couldn't sleep at night. I would just get like, itchy kinda. Like not literally itchy, but like just like, "Oh, I gotta do something. I gotta move around." But my friends wouldn't always be up at weird hours like that. Sometimes they would, sometimes they wouldn't. So I would just like once they were asleep, I would just like leave. I wasn't really supposed to. I would wait till they were asleep and be really quiet about it, and I just leave, and I just drive, and I would just I where I lived at the time wasn't very built out. It was like a suburb north of Dallas, not quite as north as I am now, but like where we lived, there was just a lot of country roads, like with a lot of smaller towns nearby, and I would just drive for like hours, like smoking cigarettes, listening to my music, singing really loud in the car. So my enjoyment of just driving at night, was kind of a holdover from those days, even though I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. Um, when I quit smoking cigarettes, I sang more in the car because I found myself needing something to do in the car. because I used to smoke cigarettes like a chimney when I drove, anywhere long distance is like a ritual. So when I stopped, like I sang a lot and louder because I needed to keep busy. Um, so what you see of me now with my being up late and doing something because I can't sleep and I got to do something. I just live stream now instead of go driving around because gas is too expensive to do that now. I mean, it wasn't super cheap back then, but dang it. Um, I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, but I do still sing really loud. I just now do it on the internet, uh, for better or for worse. So what you see of me is kind of what I am. Maybe both. Oh, okay. The exclaiming, making the mic cut out. Maybe if I got a better mic, it wouldn't do that. Yeah, I was just going like budget, like just something that would work. It does have the fun, like changey colors though. Like, but it's not like where you can just pick the color, at least if you can. I haven't figured out how. It's like it just kind of like cycles through different colors. Like, see, it just turned from like purple to like green and blue. It just kind of does its thing. I think Mary has one that like she can change the colors on and like pick them. So I think that's pretty cool. If I upgrade, maybe it'll be to one. See, I'm not even thinking about like the sound quality. I'm like, ooh, the pretty colors. Can I get one with pretty colors? I'm kind of like a magpie. I like shiny, sparkly, colorful things. Yes, congratulations, Mary. And you were trying to hit it by your birthday in June. So I think that I knew you'd hit it earlier than that. I knew you would. Time to party. Woohoo! Do I have any party things in here? Like noisemakers or anything? No, if I do, they're in the other room. I do have this crazy straw. Yay! That is the most celebratory object I have easily accessible right now. So yay, Mickey. It's a Mickey crazy straw. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's a Mickey crazy straw. I kept him as a souvenir. I went to Disney World for the first time as an adult that I could remember in 2017. Yeah. It was actually before my child was born. We wanted to go before we had a kid so that we could kind of enjoy it and figure out how we would navigate it once we had a child. And he's just now, like, it's a little different. Like, I don't know if he would be kind of overwhelmed by all the sensory stuff. We would definitely have to pace ourselves. But I think probably like 7 or 8 is a good time to do something like that. Yes, please go check out Mary's channel at Blessed to Crochet. She does really cool lives like this too, where people hang out and connect and talk. Sometimes there's a subject matter. Sometimes people are just hanging out and talk. Like I know, like sometimes Mary will just do like, "Hey, let's get together and just eat lunch together," and she'll like put the camera on like a nice area where she's hanging out, like the waterfront or from the porch or something like that. And it is really nice. And I have jumped on those lives when I was on my actual lunch break and given that I've been working from home and, it's kind of isolating on your lunch break, it feels like I'm actually like having lunch with a friend, which I am, it's just virtual. So go check her out. There's a saying in Alberta, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. Janet G, we have that same saying in North Texas. Maybe, I don't know. Are you the Canadian North Texas? Is that possible? Is that possible? We have the same saying here. Yes, that's exactly how I feel about new technology, new mics. What does this button do? Was that DD? Oh, it's still cut out even when I pulled back from it. That's good to know. I've noticed that a little bit on my karaoke videos that I like to do for funsies, that if I, like, get really loud or, like, really high, it's like, but that's okay. As I've said, I'm not trying to get a record deal, not really. It's fun for me, and it's cathartic, you know? So, that's kinda my purpose there, but it probably would be nicer if the mic weren't cutting out all the time. So, perhaps next payday will be researching slightly better microphones. Actually, probably I'd start with a better camera because I'm just on the Chromebook one right now, and it's okay, it gets the job done. You can see that I am in fact a human, but it gets kinda fuzzy, I think. They say that in the Pacific Northwest too, about the if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. Yep, yep, yep. Oh, you're asking what year my Corolla is? My Toyota Corolla is a 2010, Mr. Brad Boy, and it is, gosh, it is still kicking. Like, my younger brother and I actually had, like, cars from, like, the same year-end model, like, Toyota Corollas. His was just, like, goldish colored and mine is silver colored, and we have that same car because when we were in our early 20s and both in school, our parents helped us purchase those, and, like, so we all went car shopping together, and they helped us do the research and stuff, so we ended up with, like, twinsy cars. Um, I never thought I would have it long enough to be, like, a full-blown adult with a job and a mortgage and a child and, like, putting a car seat in it, but that car has lasted, like, it's I mean, it's lasted. Like, I can't complain. It's pretty great. I like not having a car note to pay. I will probably have to eventually, but I like not having one right now. Miss Dragon says, "Hey, Miss Dragon, I don't remember if I said hi to you yet. Did you sneak in and I just missed saying hi? Hi, if I didn't say hi. Maybe my memory is just not great. It's possible." Hubby drives an '03 Camry, 4-cylinder, a putt, putt, putt. Hey, sometimes a putt, putt, putt is fun, you know? Like, sometimes that's all you need. But '03 and it's still putt-putting, like, hey, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's nothing to sneeze at all. We like not having to have car notes every 5 years or whatever. Janet G says, "I drive a 2009 Camry and it takes me everywhere. 330,000 kilometers on it so far. Dang, hoping to make it to 500,000 kilometers." What is that in miles? Because here in the weirdo United States of America, we like to use miles just because everybody else doesn't, you know? We gotta be special. What is that? Do y'all remember Dana Carvey on Saturday Night Live when he would be the church lady? "Well, isn't that special?" Y'all remember that? My friend's dad in high school looked exactly like Dana Carvey, and he could do the voice exactly the same way too. It was really uncanny. It was interesting. And he knew it too, and he would, like, play it up and be silly about it. 330,000 kilometers to miles. What is that in miles? It doesn't wanna tell me. What is mm. It's got a whole formula here. I stumbled into math. I am become error. This is not okay, okay. So oh, no, that's 330. I did this wrong because I only put in 30,000. Here we go. 330 bum, 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 is 206,000 miles and some change. I'm sorry, my brain can't conceive of kilometers, but that's considerable for it to still be kicking too. I think my Corolla is it's at about 150,000 miles. I drove it a lot when I first got it because what was I doing? I was living in Denton. I was in grad school at the time. So I went to classes there, but I also commuted to Fort Worth 3 days a week to go work at the women's prison. And then I would also make pretty frequent trips back home, and that was about 40 miles, one way. And then I also took that car. I would commute to Dallas from the suburbs because my first job was in a clinic in Dallas. Um, and city driving is really rough on a car because of all the stop start, all the, you know, go and stop. But later on, I didn't drive it as much because then the world changed and everybody started working remotely and then I barely drove it at all. So it's still in great shape. The inside is kind of cluttered. I need to clean it out. But other than that, it's in great shape. Much love back to you, Miss Dragon, too. Much love back to you. Oh, mischief caught me. Kristen, that's called sneaking out when you just leave when you're not supposed to. You caught me. Dang it. I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for mischief, which is an appropriate name for our discussion currently. Hi, Maya, aka Allison Art Supply Hoarderland. It's good to see you. How are you doing this evening? I'm glad you could stop by and say hello. And of course, we're exclaiming, Matt. The mic cut out? I try not to be too loud and make the mic cut out. Mr. Radboy says, "I drive a GMC Terrain 2019." Oh, that's, like, brand new to me, man. That's like well, it's not brand new. It's, like, the age of my child, but compared to my car, that's brand new. Had to get a SUV because of my job being in the highway. That makes sense. My other vehicle is a Hyundai Elantra. The wheels are so small, taking a beating every day. Hyundai I think it was, I can't remember if it's a Hyundai Elantra or a Sonata that my dad not recently got. He always had SUVs for the longest time, dating back to kind of what I would call one of the original SUVs, which wasn't really an SUV. It was the old school Chevy Blazer, which really is just like a truck, like a pickup truck with a cover on it. Like they didn't gussy it up a whole lot. But he drove us everywhere in that Chevy Blazer for a long time. And it just sat when it stopped running real well, it sat in the driveway for a long time, a long time. And then he always had like Explorers. He had Ford Explorers. He had a Mountaineer for a while. But then finally, this last time when he got a different car, he swapped out and he went to a Hyundai. I can't remember. I think he has a Sonata. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's either a Sonata or an Elantra. Now that I'm all adult-like, I don't get driven around as much by my parents. As much. I say adult-like because we're all just faking the adulthood thing, right? Like, nobody really feels like an adult, do you? Do you? Like, I have a mortgage and a child and, like, a job and, like, insurance and all this stuff, and I can talk about some things with some level of expertise or knowledge, but I don't feel like a real adult. Do you guys? I think that's a fake construct. Oh, that's right. Mist was on the west side today in Issaquah. And then you'll be back with your hubby in the morning having surgery at Swedish. I'm going to let's put, if you would, ones in the chat for Miss Dragon's hubby. Ones, if you're not familiar, is just your way of expressing your support, whether you pray, whether you do a spell, whether you just say awesome, good for you, and send your good vibes and good intentions. That's what a one means. So I hope that surgery is super uncomplicated and smooth and everything is awesome and gravy, gravy awesome. You grew up at Disneyland, Mischief? Wow, really? 30 minutes away? $5 admission and ticket books? Shoot. That's whoa. Wowza. Were you just there? Did you just go all the time? I wonder. Like, that sounds fun. Thanks, Mr. Bradboy. It was the choice to quit smoking. It was not the first time I made the choice to quit smoking. It was just the last time, the most recent time. I started smoking cigarettes at around the age of 16. Yeah, right around there. My dad smoked cigarettes, and so it didn't seem that odd to me, and there was also a little bit of, like, I don't know, the smell of it was kind of, like, soothing in a way. He didn't really smoke cigarettes in front of us, like, he tried not to, like, he tried to be real sneaky about it, because my mom didn't smoke cigarettes, and she hated it, but, you make compromises, I guess. You put up with each other's habits in marriages. And, so he would, like, always, like, go out into the garden, like, in the evenings, like, when he got home from work. Like, he had a tomato garden, and he would grow different, like, vegetables and stuff, and he would also have a cigarette while he was out there, and I would go outside to hang out with him sometimes, and as a little kid, and, like, he would, like, very, like, quickly, like, put out the cigarette, like, throw it out, and he would come, like, walking up, like, really swiftly, like, with the smoke kind of, like, billowing away from him, like, "Hi, Kristen," like, he was trying to, like, not be obvious about it, so it had a homey thing to it, and then I met a bunch of friends in high school that smoked cigarettes, and I was like, "Well, I wanna see what this is like. What is the big deal?" So I swiped one of his one night, and, yeah, the rest is history. Actually, I did not know I was not inhaling a cigarette. The first time I smoked a cigarette was by myself. I stole one of his, and I didn't know how to inhale a cigarette because you don't know how to do that unless someone tells you how. So I was just kind of doing that thing where you just, like, suck it into your mouth, and I was like, "I don't get it. It's just stinky. I don't get it. Why do people like this? I don't get it." Um, But then I was hanging out with the friends that smoked cigarettes, and I was like, "Oh, I'll try one again," and they all looked at me one day and they said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And they said, "You know you're not inhaling that, right?" I said, "What? What? What?" So my teenage friends taught me how to inhale a cigarette, and I got such a huge nicotine buzz off of that first cigarette, like but never again. Like, I never got the same nicotine buzz off a cigarette ever, ever again, but that kept me smoking cigarettes on and off for a decade. That no, a little over a decade, uh, like, trying to get back to that initial cigarette buzz, but it never comes back. I even quit for a year, like, in the middle somewhere in there, like, when I was in college and undergrad, and it's still like, even stopping for a year and then starting again, like, I had a little bit of a nicotine buzz, but it wasn't the same as that first one. It's never the same as that first one. Oh, you lived near Disney, so you go to the park to go shopping or if a good band was there. Oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about bands playing there. Janet G says Alberta is often called the Texas of Canada. Really? That's awesome. I have to come visit Alberta then and, like, see this for myself because 'cause I've always grown up in Texas. We have a huge beef cattle industry here, oil and gas, and, well, the weather. That's awesome. I had no idea. I have to come visit Alberta some way then. Yes, good energy for Mist and Mist's hubby for tomorrow. Okay, that's a good point, Maya. You think the sound is more important than the video quality? Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Like, I don't necessarily like want or need people to like be able to see my pores and my face. Like, but if you can hear me, that's cool. Like, if we like this is really more about like interacting and chatting anyway. So if you like lost the video feed or if it were crappy, but you still had the audio, that'll probably work out okay. Yeah, yeah, the Toyota Corollas that my brother and I had were gold and silver. I don't remember how we decided who got what color. I don't think we really cared. His would still be running. It would, as mine is, and he had more miles on his than I did. 'Cause he used to drive to Mexico all the time because he dated women who lived in Mexico. Um, so he would, like, drive over the border all the time. But he recently got into a wreck. Everyone was fine, but the car was totaled. So he got a Toyota Camry instead. So he's still being very sensible, but a little more space, a little more room. Miss Dragon, I only learned that the Pacific Northwest stood for a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure how I know that. I don't know how I know that PNW stands for Pacific Northwest. I don't remember looking it up or being told it, but I'm sure I must have been at some point. Oh, the Corollas and the Camrys. She has one from the '80s, Sandy Wandy? They last forever. Yeah, that's what you want. Like, if you're gonna unless you just have, like, lots of excessive dollars at your disposal, like, that's what you want when you invest in a car, you want it to last, right? You want it to get you from A to B, and you want it to last. Uh, some cars are just fun, though, but, you gotta have your additional monies for those things. Mischief says, "My husband bought a newish Camry for my birthday. It's the car he's always wanted." What's the logic behind that? How did he present that, Mischief? Was he just like, "Happy birthday, here's my favorite car for you?" Like, or was it like a family car meant for both of you? How did that go? Oh, the good vibes. Hold that thought till this coming Monday. So much to organize till then. We can send good vibes for both days, today and Monday. Lots of good vibes, all the good vibes. We have we don't have a shortage of good vibes and positive thoughts. Monday, got it. Yes, Dana Carvey. I had forgotten. I don't know why I thought of it because I was saying, "Isn't that special?" Oh, Mischief, he bought the bougie XLE Camry. What's the difference between the XLE and the other ones? I know I'm sure it has something to do with the trim or something. It's got 130K. I drive a 3.9-liter Impala. I can't ever have a smaller engine. The older Chevy Impalas, I like the look of those. I liked them. I liked the way that the tail lights looked on those. Like, when I was a teenager, those were ones I would have liked. Actually, I think what did I end up driving? Because I was, beholden to what my parents would let me drive and help me out with. So I drove a Ford Focus. But you know what? A Ford Focus can get up to 110 miles an hour on the freeway on the way to Oklahoma. In theory. I'm not saying I ever did that. In theory, it can. Last year, Janet G says, "Last year I introduced my 94-year-old mom to the church lady." She'd never seen the church lady before? You gotta go check out the church lady. That's hilarious. Really isn't that special? It's silly. Older SNL is great. It makes me happy. Mount Rainier is the crown jewel of the Pacific Northwest. Is that around the area where you've been showing us on your walks when you go on your walks, Mist? And that reminds me, I think Mary put it earlier in the chat, but I think tomorrow Mary and Miss Dragon are doing a joint live together where Mist is going to go on one of her walks and Mary's going to crochet and they're going to go live with it. So that'll be cool. So be sure to check that out. Hey, Kelly B, it's good to see you. Aw. Hey, beautiful Kelly B. I'm so happy you made it. I'm so happy you stopped by. That always makes me happy to see you. Sandy Wandy says, "My husband has a Saturn with 250,000 miles on it." The Saturns had, like, lots of different models, didn't they? I'm trying to remember. I think they did. Like, I remember when we were car shopping, like, used car shopping when I was a kid, like, that was one of the things I was like, "Hey, can we look at Saturns?" And my folks were like, "Well, what kind of Saturn?" I was like, "There's more than one?" Like, I didn't know. I just knew what my friends drove. The church 30. Could it be? They did. Oh. I wonder if I would get in trouble if I played a clip of Dana Carvey as the church lady. No, because 'cause I'm not monetized. No one cares. It's the Wild West here, y'all. Well, within reason. I'm not gonna be a total jerk. When somebody figures out how I've been going oh, Mary, when somebody figures out how I've been going on about 3 hours sleep to let my body know how it did today. Sure, adrenal. Yeah, it's gotta be adrenaline. It must be that adrenaline from being super excited about hitting that 500 number. That's a pick me up for sure. Ooh, forest service. That would be a fun job, especially if you like animals and wildlife better than people, which I don't blame anyone for. I don't. Yep, the Chevy Blazer, the old school Chevy Blazer, like the first one. The first one was basically just a pickup truck. You were up for 2 days straight last week, Mischief? No idea why. Were you like me and you just were like, "I just wanna do stuff. I don't wanna sleep," or you laid down and your body was like, "No, we're not sleeping." Did you ever see the Christmas skit where the church lady spells Santa? Switch the letters out and it spelled Satan. Oh, no. I forgot about that one. Mischief, you guys had the '89 Blizzard too? I think it was the '89. I think it was the '89 that my dad had. I'm not positive. I'll have to ask him, but I think it was. And it was blue. It was blue. I remember that. He would drive us from like, every summer, my brothers and I would spend, like, a week with my grandparents who lived, like, in the College Station, Bryan, Texas area, and we lived up in the Dallas area, so that's, like, a hike. That's, like, a 3.5-ish hour drive, and, instead of, like, using my mom's, like, bigger, like, minivan, like, when the whole family went, he would just take the 2 of us down in the Chevy Blazer, and I don't know, I have fond memories of the Blazer. And it smelled just a little bit like cigarette smoke, but, like, from when he drove it by himself, like, not like, he never smoked in it when we were riding with him, but it just had that hint of it, and you know how, like, cars before a certain year, they have those metal ashtrays in the door, and, like, he never used those, I think he ashed cigarettes out the window, but I don't know, there's just something really nostalgic about a metal ashtray in a car. I don't know why, like, that just I don't know, it makes me feel homey somehow. It's kind of a weird thing. It is Janet G. This is a great I love this comment. Even without context, this is a great comment. Life is an epic continuum. It absolutely is. even without context. That's a great comment. Mary says, "My first car was a Nissan Sentra. I named it Rosebud. It was dark red." Nice. Mr. Bradboy says, "Feeling like an adult. Ha! That depends on what. I still have the kid in me watching cartoons, Scooby Doo, and all the great old school ones." Yeah. Oh man, it's been too long since I've watched a cartoon, you guys. I spend a lot of time I mostly watch YouTube actually. Like, I don't really watch a lot of TV. I watch YouTube, and most of the YouTube I watch now is a lot of you guys here in the chat. So, I need to get some cartoons in my life, though, just to remind myself to have a little fun, be a little silly. I pronounced it right? The mountain? I did? Yay! I'm so glad. Hey, if I ever pronounce anything incorrectly on here, guys, you can totally correct me and I won't be offended at all. In fact, I would prefer that rather than like continuing to pronounce something incorrectly forever. But the first time someone says something, like just a random word, like not necessarily a mountain, I saw something that was like, if somebody says a word kind of funny the first time, like don't make fun of them, just let them know kindly because it means they learned it from reading and reading is good. So I kind of liked that. Mischief's first car was a Ford Granada named the Tank. That's one of the cars y'all have mentioned that I don't have a mental image of. So I want a mental image. So I'm going to look it up. Apparently, it is a tank. I gotta see. I gotta see. What's a Ford Granada look like? Ford Granada. Find some images here. Oh, yeah. That is a tank. I think that if somebody hit you in that, I think we would need to worry about them and not you. Let me see if I have a good picture to share. Here's a pretty one. Ooh, and it's on a page related to automotive history. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, okay. And I'm also learning how to do the thing where you can share pictures, like, on your phone, on a live, but you have to turn down the brightness or it just, like, blinds the people. See? Yeah, yeah. That is a tank, like, that's gonna protect you. Mist says, "Monday will be delicate. 1, maybe 2 abdominal incisions with a long recovery." Okay. Somebody close to me has had to have a lot of surgeries like that too. I hope that it will go very, very smoothly. I'm sorry the recovery is gonna be long, though. When our hubbies have surgeries, that's always rough. Like, mine had to have I won't go into super detail because it's his information, but mine had to have, like, heck, like 3 or 4 surgeries in the span of, like, a year, like, fluke accident that just, kept getting worse, and I was, like, caregiver for him, caregiver for our son, somehow had my full-time job, somehow supposed to keep my own marbles together. I did not do that very successfully, but we are all still here and we are all still standing, so I accomplished something. I accomplished something, but I hope that you have more supports in place than I did missed. At the very least, even if you don't physically have people there, like just having like people to talk to here, that's awesome. Like I think if I had had you guys, like, and everybody I've met like here and on all the channels of people that do the connection, like talk in the chat with each other thing, I think I would have coped a lot better. Like even if I didn't have someone to help me cook or whatever, like, just having people to talk to would have made a huge difference. I would not have melted down nearly as hard. It probably still would have, but not nearly as spectacularly, I don't think. Mr. Radboy says, "I feel you. My grandfather used to smoke cigarettes. I never picked up on it due to health issues it caused." Oh, you never started smoking. "Some people tried to peer pressure me, but I never gave in. I just didn't want to get in the habit. Got me." Yeah, that's smart, man. That's smart. That's the good thing to do. I mean, I'm not sure what went into my decision to do so. Like, I guess seeing my dad do it kind of made me feel like, oh, it's not that big a deal, even though intellectually I knew better. Like, intellectually, I knew all the things about how bad it was for you, like, they kinda, made sure to hammer that home at school whenever they could. Um, I guess I always thought like, well, it's not gonna get me. Like, I'm not gonna be hooked on cigarettes. I'm just gonna do it when I want to and not when I don't. And that is not what happened. I got to where I would smoke a pack a day from like the age of 16 to like 27. Uh yeah, it was just like it punctuated my day for a while. It was just like part of everything I did. Um, you just had a meal, smoke a cigarette. You're about to have a meal, smoke a cigarette. Uh, you just woke up and you're having your coffee, smoke a cigarette. You had a bad day, smoke a cigarette. You had a good day, smoke a cigarette. It was just like that. It was just like that. And there's like there's a sort of physical part to it too, right? Like certain substances hang out in your body a lot longer, right? So like if you think about it, like stuff that hangs out in your body longer, it's going to be at a certain level in your bloodstream and then it's going to like gradually taper off. And so it's kind of like giving you this like natural slow taper off the thing just by your body working it out of you. Nicotine is not like that. Nicotine is like in a cigarette, like as soon as you take a hit off of a cigarette, your nicotine in your bloodstream spikes. And then as soon as you finish that cigarette or stop puffing on it, it immediately starts to plummet. And the faster a substance leaves your body, the more quickly it feels like a withdrawal, and that's a nick fit. If you've been too long without nicotine and you're just getting cranky and irritable, that's a nick fit. And that happens in part because it leaves your body so quickly. Um, so being a cigarette smoker is kind of like being in perpetual nicotine withdrawal. Um, and actually, when I worked in the women's prison, I couldn't smoke cigarettes in there. I did smoke at the time, but it would have been a pain in the patootie to try to make that happen because I couldn't leave without my supervisor. Like, she had to come get me and walk me in. If I wanted to go to any other part of the complex, she had to go with me. I think staff had like a smoking lounge they could go to, but she wasn't going to interrupt her day to take me there. So I think when I worked there on days that I worked, I wore nicotine patches. Like I would like just to not be a jerk. I would smoke a cigarette or 2 on my way there in the car in the morning, put on my nicotine patch, do the workday, then take it off and smoke on the way home. So, yeah, yeah. It was bad. It was good to quit. It was good to quit. The last cigarette I smoked was in October of 2013, and I haven't smoked any other cigarettes, although I did smoke some hookah with some friends, but I don't know if you would count that. I consider that a pretty small flub. We like the Camrys, they're low maintenance, we're talking on the cars, being thrifty, taking good care of the Toyotas. Yeah, the '80s and '90s Toyotas do last forever. Okay, missed husband has an inguinal hernia that got put off way too long, and a doctor in the beginning told him to just do sit-ups and it'll fix it. I don't know how realistic that is. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, missed, isn't an inguinal hernia, it's where, like, part of your stomach kinda, like, goes up into your esophagus, it keeps it from, like, closing all the way, and so you constantly have, like, really bad heartburn and stomach acid, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, I didn't know this, Mr. Bradboy. I was a detailer there and maintenance. I would detail the cars and always check in the new vehicles off the truck. I had to get a new job to get on my own and move out. This was in 2018, though. So you detail different cars? Did you get to see, like, really, like, different ones and interesting Oh, at Toyota, you mean. Gotcha, gotcha. I wish I was good at detailing my car, I just don't have the patience. I didn't know trunk space on Impalas was huge. That's good to know. Oh, good to know. Camry SLE is sporty, XLE is bougie. Heated seats and hundreds of things I'll never use. It's nice, though. Probably never have to buy another car. The heated seats can be nice depending on what time of the year it is. I'm glad you found me on too, Kelly. I've been kinda doing this, like, more nights than not around 11, Central anyway. Central Time, it's at 11 because that's when my kiddo is reliably asleep. Miss says, "No, the parking lot to the sunrise side of Mount Rainier is 79 miles from my driveway." Oh, okay. I wish I could do lives from up there, but there's no signal for AT&T. Oh, so you just have to, like, take pictures on a regular camera. Or you could do a pre-recorded video if you did go up there. Mischief was asking about you. I love that people do that for each other. I love that people are like, "Hey, I haven't seen so and so in a while. Are they okay? What's up?" Starting to decompress because I didn't expect the surgery to be this soon. But on the plus side, when it comes, the annual camping trip, he'll be on the mend. Oh, that's good. Man, I haven't camped in a long time. I used to camp all the time. My husband has really bad outdoor allergies, though. So if we were going to camp, we would have to camp somewhere in the Northeast because the allergies don't bother him there because he grew up there. But all the Texas stuff kills his allergies, like makes him miserable every spring. Oh, Janet G says, "I have a great picture of my two sisters with Mount Rainier in the background. They went on an epic road trip." That does sound like an epic road trip. Mary says, "Of being awake, that was me last night. Fell asleep, had a cat nap, woke up, couldn't go back to sleep. And then somebody who should remain nameless started snoring, and it wasn't me." Was that your hubby, Mary? It wasn't Mocha either. Blessed to Crochet, Mr. Nameless. Or as I called him the first time I came to one of your lives, Mary, Mr. Blessed to Crochet. I think that's what I called him when I first met you on one of your lives. Hi, Mr. Blessed to Crochet. You never would use the ashtrays in your car either? Yeah, like, even if I didn't have them by the time I was driving, typically the cars didn't have those ashtrays in them, but I wouldn't oh, okay, I did have one, but I didn't use it either. I would either flick it out the window, which I know is awful, you know, mea culpa, I apologize to the environment and the world, but or we would get these little, like, cup holder car ash things, and it's basically like a little cup, and it has, like, a little top to it that's like a funnel, and you can, like, ash the cigarette on it, and then when you're done, you put it in, and it goes down the little center funnel thing. Uh, those are kinda cut down on the litter, I guess. I like this, Janet. Adults are big, wrinkly children. Yes. Yes, we are. Maya says, "I just realized my car doesn't even have an ashtray. I never thought about it before." I don't think they really make them with ashtrays anymore. I think it's like a '90s and before thing. Yes, growing old is mandatory. Growing up is optional. Okay, Miss says, "I won't be live next week. I may put up a joke or two, but I got to get in the rhythm of whatever's gonna happen over the next 3 months, for sure." Um, will you be hanging out on some of the other lives here and there just so as we can check in and see how you're doing? Um, I know family having surgery is nerve-wracking under the best circumstances. Yeah, all I watch is YouTube too. A lot of fruit dancing fruit baby shows, that's even on YouTube. Yes, there's lots of dancing fruit stuff. Mary says, "Just put on the one that shows you, and I have a blooper reel." Will get you laughing every time. I was thinking about that. I need to make a blooper reel. I had this idea that I was gonna do so I still am gonna do it, but I was calling it Mental Health Minute, where I just do like a really short little blurb about something having to do with mental health. And for some reason, so like I don't do the script thing, uh, but for some reason I kept like it's like I forgot how to speak English this afternoon. So I did have a couple that could have made a blooper reel. Um, but I think I'll just leave them in next time. But then it won't be short. Like that's the only reason I cared is that well if I do it that way it's not going to be short because you're going to just hear me mumbling and forgetting how to speak English. Your first car was a Pinto Mist with an all glass hatchback. What is that even? I'm going to have to look up that one too. Growing old is mandatory. Growing up is optional. Mischief's dad. I like it. Kelly, I'm jealous. Your first car was a '67 Mustang. I always liked the Mustangs. I always liked them. About my pronunciations. I'll correct you on everything now. Gotcha. That's all right. Bring it on. Bring it on. I don't mind being corrected. As long as it's a correct correction, you know? A green and rust Ford Granada. Yeah, people parking those would be like docking the Queen Mary. That's great. A Chrysler Cordova. It's interesting. That was your driver's ed car that you had to learn to parallel park in? You know, I'm still not great at parallel parking. I don't know. Is anybody though? Hey, Rick, good to see you. Rick says, screw grown-ups. At least I hope so. I'm supposed to be one. Nice. I like it. Oh, here's a friendly reminder from Miss to smash the like button, folks. Please. Consensually smash the like button, please. Make sure it's consensual, whatever you do. Rick! Janet G says, I grew up in a 1969 VW micro minibus. Really? You grew up in it as in like you lived in it or like you rode around in it? My dad drove it forever until the police confiscated it. What? What? How dare they? How dare they? I am upset on your behalf. We kept the steering wheel. Oh, that's good. Do you still have it? Like, I think I would put that on a wall or something somewhere. That's pretty cool. Oh, good. I'm glad Miss says I have you guys. I thought I was gonna go live Monday, but that got changed. My oldest is going with us. Oh, good, good. So you have like a person physically close by too. So I have someone to stay in the hotel with me, so I'm not alone. I'm still gonna pack heat though for the yeah, that's not crazy. What? Did your numbers go up again over 599? What? Oh, 500. Oh, but still, it's still awesome. Kelly B says, "See, I'm behind on the chat, you guys." I love it when I get behind on the chat, though. It means people are chatting. That's like the coolest problem I could have in these. It really is. Y'all probably don't need me to read every single one, but I like to I like to participate. I like to see what y'all are talking about. I smoked on and off since I was 14. And all that I've gone through recently, I've still maintained an average of 1 cigarette every 2 days. Hey, only 1 cigarette every 2 days, Kelly B? That's amazing. Like, I could never do it that way. Like, I couldn't. Like, I was so annoyed when I would like meet someone or have friends that could do like the social smoking thing where like they never smoked cigarettes except out at a party or a bar or whatever. And they would just like I don't know, buy a pack and then smoke a couple and then, like, throw it in a drawer and forget about it for months until they went out to another party. I always hated that. I could never do that. If I had a pack of cigarettes, the whole thing was getting smoked within 24 hours. That was just the way it was. Um, that was just the way it was, whether I was going to a party or not. So, I am impressed that you could just have one every couple days. Um, I don't know if you've tried the vaping thing. That might be, you know, a little bit less harder on the lungs, but only one every 2 days, especially with all the stress you've been under. I know you've talked a little bit about it. You've had a lot of stressful stuff going on. So my hat is off to you. I don't have an actual hat, but you know, the turn of phrase, tipping my hat. Oh, so for 40 years smoking cigarettes. Oh, to have all that money back. You know, that was one of the first things I did. I can't remember which time it was, but I did that when I quit. Like I tried to like mark up like this is what I would have spent today on a pack of cigarettes. This is what I would have spent tomorrow. Um, but I ended up losing track of it, and then I fell off the wagon and started smoking again, and then that was just depressing. So I didn't want to dwell on it. I tried all kinds of wacky things to quit smoking the first time. Um, for a while, I would actually like I printed out like a color photo of a cancerous lung and I put it on my pack. And like when I finished one pack, I would switch the picture to the next one so that every time I opened it and had to get a cigarette, I would look at this picture of this cancerous lung, which you'd think would have an effect. But after a while, you get used to seeing it. And like, I think it speaks to if you are addicted to something, it overrides everything else in your brain, it overrides your logic. But people kind of It was a conversation starter, that was for sure. I'd be out at a bar and have that on the table, and someone would go, "What the heck is that?" Mary says, "My aunt who has the cancer has been smoking since, and she's still smoking through the chemo." Wow, that's tough. I've heard of that, though. I've heard of, like, some people saying that, like, you know, like, it's so stressful on their body that they're like, maybe don't try to quit now, but I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but that seems pretty wild to me. Kelly says, "Janet, things are not going on like there were before I left. Oh, with your son. I don't have anywhere of my own. I'm sleeping on a blow up bed in my grandson's room, but things are okay. I take care of the baby a lot, which is hard on me, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm thankful to be with them after what happened." It's hard not to have your own space. I get that. Like, that means even if it's just like a little corner, it's hard not to have your own space, like to just like breathe. Um, it sounds like you're looking at it with as much positivity as possible, thinking about spending the time with the baby. But I know that's really hard. Able to fill out some housing authority forms, and my best friend is still planning on moving up here from Birmingham by the end of the year, and we're getting a place together. That's great. Roommates make things more affordable, and it helps if it's a friend or someone you know well that you can trust. Even sometimes, like, moving in with someone who's a friend, even sometimes that's challenging. Roommates are hard. Um, so we bought our house, like, in 2015, and shortly after we moved in, one of our friends moved into a spare room, and he, like, paid us a bit of money in rent every month, and that kinda helped defray our costs, but we also charged him way less than any apartment around here would cost, so it was, like, mutually beneficial, and it was fun hanging out with him, but then, like, when you live with someone, you also find out stuff like they're losing their hair and it clogs the sink all the time. Not his fault, but would have liked it if he unclogged the sink on his own. It's just hard. It's complex working things out with roommates. It makes communication really important, that's for sure. Other direction, he's basically during COVID cost his guts. Wow, into his sack. Ooh, to put it nicely. Ooh, about the inguinal hernia. That sounds painful. I love heated seats too, Mist. Even when it's not that cold, I like them because they're, like, relaxing, and if, like, you have any kind of, like, cramping or anything, they're great. You got to see different vehicles all the time when you worked there, Brad? That's really cool. Mr. Bradboy, sorry. I shortened your name. It was a constant thing monthly. That sounds kinda cool. That sounds interesting. That sounds fun. Ooh, yeah. Winter 8 months a year would make me want heated seats too. Rick. Nice car talk. Guy porn/cars. Is that true? Is that accurate? Is car talk a version of porn? I was not aware of this until I didn't know. Cars are fun though. Um, I love heated seats with our winters. My husband's car has a heated steering wheel. Ooh, that's extra fancy. A heated steering wheel. Oh, that's good, Kelly. I'm glad to hear that. That your son must have given your daughter-in-law a huge talking to about how she treated me, especially since you lost all your stuff. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. That's a good point, Mischief. It would be nice to have the backrest heated. Then it would be like it would help if you had, like, a sore lower back. The seat makes me feel like I peed my pants. Yeah, I could see that. Hi, Mon. How's it going? It's good to see you. Hello from Perth, Western Australia. Oh no, Mist. The cottonwood is blooming. You're gonna be miserable for a month. I'm sorry. We get cottonwood around here too. Mr. Radboy says, so whenever we did demos displays, most of the time we were new vehicles in the showroom. Ooh, that's fun. Which is in the building to catch the customer's eyes and look at. That sounds fun. Um, we used to go to the State Fair of Texas pretty often, pretty frequently. in Dallas at Fair Park when I was a kid. And there's all the outside stuff with the rides and things, but then there's always exhibit halls too. And there's always exhibit halls with all the cars. And like as a kid, like I didn't know anything about cars as a little kid, but I liked climbing into all of them. Like if there was a car on the showroom floor that I could access, I was crawling into it and like crawling through it. It was fun. Rick, you're addicted to cars. And hi, Mon. Good to know. Janet G says, when my girls were little, they called my friend Marilyn Mrs. Roth. Instead of calling her husband Mr. Roth, they called him Mr. Marilyn. Nice. I like that. Mister says, my car ashtray is a jar with a lid that fits in the cup holder. No stink. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. If you're, I mean, obviously, ideally, the way to do it is we all quit smoking cigarettes. But, in the meantime, we should take care of the environment and hopefully not leave things too stale and stinky while we're working all that other stuff out. Hey, yeah, Rick. I like this. Sort of cool. Lots here you can watch or visit when life gets tough. That's a group. Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking the same thing. Like, I was thinking about this today because lately I've been trying to, like, if I don't see that someone has already shared it in like the Lifeboat Facebook group or on a Discord or something like that, like when I see someone who's like part of that community going live, like I've been trying to hit share. Um, and it made me realize, like, there really is, like, almost always, like, someone. Like, there's someone, like, doing this or something similar. Like, some people have some people's format is a little different. Some people focus more on interviews. Some people just chat like this, and some people may go in with a topic, but, um, it's almost like it's the exception now for there not to be someone, like, going live and doing something like this. So it's kinda like it's a great antidote to loneliness. I really like it. Janet G says, my first car was a 73 Pontiac Le Mans. What a boat and a gas guzzler. Paid $90 for it. What? $90 for a vehicle that moved you? Wow. That's something. That's pretty cool. Kelly says, missed. Thank God you didn't blow up in the Pinto. Thank God indeed. We're glad to have you with us, Mist. Thanks for reminding to do the likes, Mon. There are 12 of us, and apparently there were only 8 likes. We need to spread the love. Or you can, do the dislike. Just express your opinion. Have the courage of your convictions, one way or the other. The ugliest car of all time, the Gremlin and the Pacer. Yeah, the Gremlins weren't very pretty. About the Pinto, Mist says, Kelly, no, I didn't blow up, but I did learn. You don't do anything in the back of a Pinto with all glass hatchback because people can see everything. Yeah, yeah, I guess that would be an issue. Nice. Oh, this is about the VW minibus that Janet G grew up with. She says the police confiscated it because it was falling apart and unsafe. Oh, man. No, I grew up in a house, but went everywhere in the VW van. Well, that's a bummer. They confiscated it. Mr. Bradway says, we appreciate all the comments you read. I'm going to take off soon. Hope y'all have a great day, and you too, Kristen. Thanks, Mr. Bradway. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. It's really good to get to know you better. Thanks for chilling with us. Janet G says, pretty sure there were a few times I would have done something in the back of a Pinto. A Pinto though? Like that didn't automatically that wasn't a deal breaker for you? No, I lie. I think we all had times in our lives when there were not many deal breakers, right? Like no judgment here. Not from me. Kelly says the Gremlin. Someone had one up for sale here last week for $900 and the floorboards were rusted through. Well, shoot, if the floorboards are rusted through, I don't want to pay any more than $500 because that's just a lawn ornament at that point, right? Oh, that's right, miss. Back in the day when there was no evidence of what we did because there weren't cameras absolutely everywhere. Ah, that reminds me of a story. I don't know if I should tell this story. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna catch up with the chat and think about it. It's somewhat related to doing things in cars. I don't know if I should share it. Mom says we use the pictures on cigarette cards to play Snap at a hospital where I worked on a night shift. Like Snap, like the card game? You made it to 513, so you're even over 500 subscribers. Mary, thanks for everyone believing in little old me, says Mary. We always believed in you from day one. I think I might have been on your one of your first lives you ever did, Mary. I think I might have been. I think I was like my husband was working late and it was just me and my kiddo. My kiddo was like running around, like tearing apart the house. And I was like, I need to hear adults talking. I need to hear adults. And I put it on and I was just like, oh, this is so nice. Like she's talking to me, like we're going back and forth. I love this. Mary is a lovely person and a great friend. And that shines through in all of her lives. Remember the commercials for the Gremlin, says Mischief Managed. Hey, mister, where's the other half of your car? Nice. Maya asks, did all of your cigarette packs change to look exactly alike some years ago? You know what? Like, I haven't bought them in a long time, but I do recall, like, so in the United States, like, they look a certain way. They've got, like, the Surgeon General's warning about them being bad for you is kind of small and on the side. Like, that's how they're made, but mostly most of the art was, like, huge. The logo was just whatever the manufacturer puts on the logo. But I remember, like, in the UK, like, when I went there with my dad, when he went there on business, it was like the warning took up, like, the whole pack, and it was, like, way more blunt warnings. It was, like, very different verbiage. Like, in the United States, you have this little Surgeon General's warning that's just like, "Hey, you probably shouldn't smoke if you're pregnant," or, "Hey, this is been linked to emphysema, blah, blah, blah." But in the UK, the cigarette packs, like, the whole back of the pack is, like, taken up with a thing that says, "Smoking seriously harms you and others around you." And it's, like, it's huge letters, like, you can read it from across the room. They were way more serious about their warnings. Remember trying to cram all your friends into a car in high school? Absolutely, Janet. People ended up in the trunk all the time. All the time. I don't know how we survived. I truly do not. The Gremlin commercial. Kelly says, I haven't thought of those in years. Well, I'm glad you were reminded of them here if it gave you a smile, Kelly. I haven't seen a lot of commercials lately because, I mean, that's not a bad thing, but like, I guess I see ads like on Facebook and stuff, but I haven't seen commercials because I don't watch television and I mostly just watch YouTube. And we sprung for YouTube Premium because we don't have cable and we don't pay for any other TV things really. So the ads I see are like, scrolling ads. And for a while, they would get me. Like, for a while, I was very susceptible to those Facebook ads, and it would always end up being some really, like, way cheaper, like, not as good quality as it looked in the ad. That bummed me out. Rick, this is me trying to make the poop sign in American Sign Language. Oh. Mist is going to sleep. Mist says, "I love you all. Gotta get to sleep. Only got a couple hours of sleep last night." Well, sleep well, Miss Dragon. I'm so glad that you came to hang out with us for a little bit. I've actually been on for over an hour. Time flies when you're having fun, you guys. Mary says, "Janet, you're on my list of blankets." Aw, Mary's so kind. You got the heating pad now. You got the heating pads year round, Kelly V? Yeah. That kind of makes me want one now. Maya asks, "Is it porn when just women talk cars or whenever?" That's a good question. I don't know. And is it just porn or is it car porn specifically. Well, doesn't porn imply that there's images with it or like video? So if you're just talking about cars, isn't it more like car dirty talk? Or like if you're just reading about cars, is that like car erotica? I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? You'll have to tell me. Kelly B. Kelly B is also on Mary's list for blankets. Oh, you're so sweet, Mary. You have a long list of those you wanna do crochet blankets for on the lifeboat. That's really cool, Mary. And I've seen your work. It's really like, I've seen pictures of it. Your blankets look really nice. Like, they're so detailed, like, they almost don't like, they don't look like crochet because it's so close together. I wish yarn was free. We need to hook you up with some more yarn. That's what we need to do. We need a we'll have to go check out your wish list if we want those blankets. Gotta help out with that yarn, defray those yarn costs. Maya says, "I wish paint and such were free." Yes, for the art supplies. Absolutely. Mischief says, "Kidnappers would get me for sure if their van said, 'Free yarn!'" Not candy, not puppies, but free yarn, right? What would lure me in? Free books. That's what would get me. That would be the van sign that would lure me in for kidnapping. Kelly's liking the idea of the blanket. Oh, the craptastic roommate kept the crocheted blanket that she had before. Yeah, that sucks. Is it okay that I call him that? It sounds like he was a craptastic roommate. Is that too rude? Let me know and I'll stop. Mom says I'm going to love and leave you all. Huge storm here. Oh, stay safe. Need to charge everything up in case I lose power. That's probably a good move. Take care, Mon. Prayers ones, good vibes, that everything comes through that storm easily and smoothly and you don't lose any power. Thanks for coming tonight. Mary says, like I said, if I mentioned everyone's name in the life of that, I'd like to crochet a blanket for we'd be here the next couple hundred years. And Kelly B says, it's okay, Mary. We understand. I don't know if Mon already bounced, but Mischief says, "Be safe. Get out those candles and oil lamps." Oh man, you know what? I had like an oil candle. I think I still have it, but like there's a candle wick, but instead of like it being wax, like you put oil in this little reservoir. I think oil lamps are nifty. Janet G says, "Mary, there is a woman in my area who has a mobile yarn shop. Ooh, she takes her RV filled with yarn to various places. She specifies on her website. So it's like a food truck, but for yarn. That's cool. Could you do that with books? That would be really heavy. If you did it with books, it'd be really heavy in your vehicle. Hopefully, yarn's a little bit lighter." I guess Rick says, "Enjoy the storm if it's safe." I get it. Like if I'm safe and I'm not worried about losing power or damage, like if it's just a good old like thunderstorm, I love storms. I love storms. I have lots of fond memories of like going out onto the like front porch under the overhang with my dad and just watching them. Like just like watching the rain. I love that. Especially if it's like really, really like coming down. Lots of thunder and lightning. Mary says, "I'm listening, but I'm also fading. Fast lack of sleep is catching up to me." Well, it's starting to get me too. So we'll probably start winding down. So it's okay if you need to doze. It's all right. It's all right. We're not going to hold it against you. We're liking the idea of the mobile yarn store. I see. Everybody's loving that. Kelly, you also hate commercials? Yeah. You know what is a little irritating from time to time is every now and then you'll find like a clever creator who like instead of like they'll embed their ad or their promotion like within their video, but like it's very clear that like it's not just them like reviewing a product and saying, "Hey, I like it, buy it." It's clearly an ad, but like they've filmed it into the video so you can't even skip ahead for it. I feel kind of that's cheating. I paid for the no commercials. How dare you? And Janet G says of the mobile yarn lady, she goes to farmers markets with it. That's cool. Hey, yeah, that's a good point. No rent, work when you want, online sales. It's brilliant. Yeah, if you have a product that people want, that sounds great. It's like the yarn truck of it's like food trucks only for yarn. Rick, it's that you love building cars and funny. Yeah. So we asked earlier if just writing about cars is like car erotica. I think Mischief's word for it is better. Auto sexting. Nice. Kudos, Mischief. That one was good. You love crocheting when you go RV camping, Sandy. I have not yet learned how to do something like crochet or knit, but it sounds fun. It sounds therapeutic. Too funny, Mischief, says Rick. 10 out of 10. Ladies that like cars are sweet and like working on them too. Nice. I don't know a whole lot about cars, but I appreciate them. I appreciate good cars. Janet G says, I love knitting. I'm going to knit a small stuffy horse for my daughter. Aw, that is a doppelganger for her new horse she's getting tomorrow. That's so cool. His name is Dixon. I love the name Dixon for a horse. That's awesome. And I love that you're knitting a doppelganger one. That's so cool. Oh, you do, Maya? Maya says we have a book bus here and it goes to different schools so the kids can borrow books. That's really cool. I like that. We want a Dixon. We want a little horsey. Yeah, that's really cool knitting. And Mischief, did you send me a message? Is this a message that is like was this a sharing message? You warned me. You're a tad behind on the chat. Thanks for looking out, Mischief. I don't know how to manage that. Like, do you just scroll through and like, well, that looks funny. I guess you get to a point where you have to like say, I'm not gonna put up every single one. I'm just gonna put up one I can say something to. Is that what you do? Is that how the YouTuberiness YouTubes? Is that how it works? Is there a manual to this? I don't know. We love knitting around here. Janet G says, I do love knitting. Maybe I'll knit a little Norwegian horse blanket for the toy Dixon. Oh, bookmobile. Those sound cool. Okay, you sparked a memory about something when you said a Norwegian horse blanket. Does anyone remember the song Norwegian Wood by the Beatles? Hopefully you do. So, like the whole song goes like he meets up with this girl in her apartment. He spends the night there. All of her furniture is Norwegian wood. Um, which the funny thing about that, the story behind that is that like he's saying it's good Norwegian wood, but like in actuality at the time, Norwegian wood furniture was supposed to be like cheap, kind of I guess like IKEA-ish. But aside from that, the lyric at the end, it's like so the lyric at the very end of the song is, and when I awoke, I was alone. So I lit a fire. Isn't it good, Norwegian wood? Did anybody else hear that lyric and think that he set the furniture on fire? Or am I just kind of crazy? So I lit a fire. Isn't it good, Norwegian wood? That's the ending lyric. It sounds like he torched it. Is it just me? Am I nuts? I mean, I am nuts, but I don't know if that is one of the reasons I am nuts. But I always thought it sounded like he was saying he torched the place because he was mad she left. I'm glad you're laughing, Janet. My work here is done. Yeah, you too, Mischief. See, I was explaining this interpretation to an ex-boyfriend of mine, and he looked at me like I had lobsters crawling out of my ears, like I was just nuts. Like, he's not setting the place on fire, Kristen. What's the matter with you? You're just he just thought I was just obsessed with fire because I accidentally caught my bed on fire when I was 15. That was an accident, and it was not Norwegian wood. How dare he? Aw, we love you too, Janet G. We love you too. I just remembered, okay, we're coming up on almost an hour and a half, and I'm caught up to the chat. I think I have there's a few people still. Yeah, there's 7 of y'all still left. Uh, my closest friends on YouTube, and then whoever decides to hang out for the replay. So earlier in the chat, Mist said something about, like, you don't wanna do too much in the back of a Ford Pinto with a glass hatchback because people can see everything. And she said, "But that was back then when, like, everything we did was not recorded, there weren't security cameras everywhere." So I was mostly, in high school, really good about not getting caught doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing. I was really, really good at that. That didn't mean I didn't do them. I was really good at not getting caught, because I typically made really, really good grades and, like, showed up when I was supposed to, and, so when I wasn't getting the good grades, I could, like, go get away with stuff. Something I did not get away with, though, the one time I ever got detention in high school, ever, like, the disciplinary detention, was for public display of affection. That's written on the form because my first boyfriend and I would make out in front of the school after class. And, uh, the what was it? They called them the school resource officers, the SRO officers. They would tell us to stop. So we would stop for a little while until they left, and then we'd start again because that's what you do when you're 15 or 16 and you have your first boyfriend or your first girlfriend. But eventually they got tired of our nonsense and they wrote us up and they referred us to our respective offices and they uh, called our parents and assigned us like 4-hour detentions. Like mine was on a Saturday. I had to go sit up at the school for 4 hours, just like reading and doing my homework. Somehow that is like a reasonable consequence for making out with your boyfriend, I guess. But you're not supposed to in front of the school. I get it. I get it. But I still have that's the one time I ever got, like, in actual disciplinary trouble in high school ever. That's the one time I ever got caught doing anything. Um, so that's my story. But we did have our school did have cameras at that time, so that's a little something to think of. Maya says, "Norwegian furniture are not cheap." They're not. Okay, good. Did you know? Not at all, but everything is crazy expensive here, so there is that. Janet G says, "I was late for school so often that the office lady that wrote late slips would sigh and say, 'What is it this time, Janet?'" I did mischief. I had a breakfast club detention. I was not allowed to attend the same one as the boyfriend, however, for obvious reasons. He went to a Wednesday after school detention. It was still 4 hours long, but it was a Wednesday one. They made us go to separate ones. But yeah, it was a breakfast club detention. It was stupid, like, you literally just sit there at the table for 4 hours while some teacher sits at the front of the room and, like, reads and, like, looks up at you from time to time, and you're supposed to be doing your homework or reading. A lot of kids just slept. Like, a lot of kids just, like, laid their heads on the desk and slept. But I don't know what you're supposed to learn by just sitting somewhere for 4 hours. Like, and not only that, like, it was not only used for, like, disciplinary stuff, it was also used for Texas has this 90% attendance policy when it comes to public school, where if you're enrolled in public school, you're expected to be in attendance for 90% of instructional days. And if you miss too much, regardless of the reason, whether you have, medical stuff or doctor's appointments or family stuff or whatever, if you dip below that and you miss more than 10% of the school days, you have to do what's called make up time. And that is directly tied to their funding. They don't get the same funding from the state if you're not in attendance for 90% of the time. So, what they would do is they would have you make up that attendance time by going to these Saturday or Wednesday schools for 4 hours at a time. Sometimes you would if you only had a couple hours to make up, you would just and but you weren't like there was no instruction happening. You're not learning anything. You're just sitting there. So, you go to the same place to make up your time for being absent too much as the kid who got in trouble for making out with her boyfriend too many times in front of the school or whatever else, but it was, like, equal. Isn't like that doesn't make sense to me at all. So, that's my spiel. That's my little complainy thing, and to my knowledge, it still works that way. You still have to make up time. Oh, and now you're never late, Janet. You don't have detention. Really? That's just not a thing they do? Thanks for letting me know I'm not that crazy, guys. That's BS. Goodness, that is just weird. It is, isn't it? It's very strange. It's very odd. Like, as an adult now, looking back, I think that the more appropriate consequence for something like that, for, like, students that are getting in trouble for, like, making out in front of the school, I think there should be some, like, kind of education about, like, "Hey, here's maybe why that's not appropriate to do in front of a whole bunch of other people, and here's maybe some information on relationships," and, like, I don't know, like, actually maybe try to educate some people about some things that could be good for their lives later on when they grow into adulthood, so they don't just keep doing more stupid things when they go to college, but nobody asked me. So I'm just going to share my opinion here and hopefully don't scare too many of you away. Maya, aka Allison Supply Hoarderland in Norway. So many things are amazing. Like university being funded, endless sun in the summer, and Norwegian yarn. I don't know what Norwegian yarn is like. That sounds cool. You're in Norway. Okay, Maya. All education is free? Exquisite? Oh, man. I would go back to college and get my PhD tomorrow if it was free. Heck yeah. Well, okay, schools and universities. So, like, maybe not, like, specialized additional or something like that. Well, I titled this one "All the Feels" because I had a lot of, like, heavy feels coming into it, but I feel a lot lighter, and guys, I'm sorry I didn't stick to any particular topic, but I really like hanging out with you guys, and I really like just chatting. It's been a blast. I'm gonna start to wind down, though, because we all have to sleep eventually, or if you're in a part of the world that it is daytime, um, there are other cool lives like this you can go to. One of my favorites that goes live usually in about a half hour, which is 1 a.m. Central my time, is Chow Yun Smut. She does a live chat very similar to this. Topic is whatever you want it to be. People just get together and chat. She's really great at making everybody feel seen. I love that. I'm going to put her link in the chat so that anyone who wants to can go hang out over there when it comes time easily if you're not already subscribed to her. I have like a different cadence of my voice for when I'm multitasking and moving through different windows. It's kind of funny. Oh, it didn't linkify. Why didn't it linkify? Oh, it's because I put it in StreamYard. Derp. Derpity derp. I will fix that. Please hold. You are an important customer to us. Please enjoy this music. We are working to find someone to assist you as soon as possible. It did linkify. I just opened it up in here and it did linkify. Okay, that's good. What's the worst hold music you guys have ever heard? I guess you can't like hum it for me. I can't hear you guys. Maya says, "Thanks, guys. I loved hanging out here. I got up crazy early today, so I did catch things I normally sleep through." That's awesome. I'm so glad to see you, Maya. And hold on, I want to make sure because I met you through, you have a channel too, and you have a lot of cool stuff up too. So I want to make sure to, you came to hang out with me. So I want to make sure to share your channel too. 1 second. I'm going to do it. Share. Copy link. Sorry, I'm narrating my YouTuberiness of sharing links. It took me a minute to figure out how to share links in a chat, you guys. I would think it would be easier. So that's Maya, aka Allison Supply Hoarderland. Go check out her. Give her a subscription. A sub. A sub? Is that what we say? Is that what we say in the YouTubes? Oh, that's great, Kelly. You'll be on more and more. That makes me so happy. Kelly's got an awesome channel too. Y'all go check out Kelly as well. Let's see. I'm gonna linkify you as well. Is that a word? Can that be a word? Linkify? Do, do, do. Copy link. It is copied. This is Miss Kelly B69's channel. Love her. And then I've got a couple channels. I think, let me see who's here. I think you all, the other channels that I always share are The Lifeboat, Chase the Heat, and Relate a Boat. But I think you all are all people I know from there who wouldn't know me if not for those channels. So y'all have got those. Alrighty, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. I'm so glad that y'all came, and I'm glad that we got to chat and laugh and be silly. And sometimes things can be heavy, and sometimes you just need to laugh and chat and be silly. So y'all have a great night. I might skip tomorrow's late night live because I think I'm doing a collaboration with somebody. I think we had scheduled it. I just want to make sure that I think it's tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. I want to make sure that's still happening before I share it. But so I would be going on earlier with her, like around 7. So I might just do that and then take the later one off. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll show up anyway, just because I can't stay away. Y'all have a great night. Thank you so much. Y'all take care.